Tim, and we're approximately 8 months after Tim received just about 2,500 grafts to the frontal and mid-scalp. Tim, tell us about your journey from the very beginning.
So it was back in my early 30s and I started to notice the frontal thinning, and so I had shopped around and I ended up going to Bosley, and this is probably 20 years ago or so. So I went to Bosley and I did just 800 because I was afraid of what it would look like, and so I just went for a little tune-up to see how it went. And so the Bosley experience was decent. Had quite a bit of pain afterwards, and after it got through that, then the hair came back, and years passed, and it was probably 15 years passed, and then I decided that it was time to go another round. And I had heard of some other players that had entered the market here in Los Angeles, one of which was Samson. And so I went to visit with them, and the guy who was running the place was quite a salesman and gave me a good pitch, and I signed up, and the price was right also. I had heard of Marc Dauer, but I just thought he was for executives and movie stars and out of my league, and that the result would be basically the same. And so signed up for the Samson, went to Samson, and the day of the procedure, I had never met the surgeon who was going to be doing the procedure. And so that morning I go into this room, and they put me on the table to kind of get me going with the meds, and then this guy walks in with paint on his shoes and, you know, wearing beat up Dockers, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not good. And so I said, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable. This guy, who is this guy? He's got paint on his shoes, and what did he just come back from doing yard work? And they're like, no, calm down, everything's fine. He's a skilled professional, blah, blah, blah. So do the procedure. A couple days later, I have tons of bleeding out of one of the sides. He had miscalculated how many to take out, so he actually had to go back in, take more out. So I had even more kind of this messy wound on the one side of my head, and, you know, bleeding through the weekend. Had the procedure done on a Thursday, and then all that weekend bleeding every day, and painful, face swelled up beyond belief. I mean, I just looked like some alien. I mean, it was unbelievable. I have the pictures. I won't share them with you, but it was crazy. So once that all went away, continued to have, you know, this bumpy feeling scar in the back of my head, and, you know, curious about what was going to happen. And so, long story short, some grew back, and I was just kind of thinking, all right, this is it. That's kind of just as good as it's going to get. And then a couple years passed after that, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna go to Dauer. Should have done that in the first place. So went in, and of course he was like, hey, all right, made a mistake, we can fix it. And so the day of the procedure was absolutely, you know, I felt very relaxed. I was completely confident that he would get the job done, and the procedure itself didn't take that long. That night, slept great. Next day, no swelling, very little pain. I went ahead and took some of the meds anyway, just because. And so very little pain afterwards, and I'm thinking, wow, this is great. I was concerned, of course, because I would look at my head and go, holy smokes, you know, there's all these grafts in there. Are they gonna take? You know, blah, blah, blah. So I had a bit of trepidation, just the natural concern. And then a couple of 2-3 weeks, you know, the follicles fell out, and repair was underway, and healing. And about probably 6 or 8 weeks in, or 6 or 8 weeks later, I called them up because I was a little concerned because they weren't growing back, and I'm like, hey, you know, maybe I was just a bad candidate and it's just not going to work. And that was, you know, probably 6-8 weeks, like I said. But he said, calm down, it's going to be okay. Talk to me in a few months, blah, blah, blah. So pretty soon they started coming in, feeling a little better. A few weeks after that, feeling even better. So here we are. It's been probably 3 months now. So 5 months later, I could see a great difference and I'll say a radical transformation, because I thought I would get half the growth that I've had, and I couldn't be happier. In fact, it continues to grow back, it seems. I'm taking the Propecia, never took it before, not sure if that works, but hey, if it helps, that's great. But Dr. Dauer's done a fantastic job. I couldn't be happier, and basically client for life. I'll probably do it one more time. I'm 52, and he's the guy. He's the guy. Don't mess around with anybody else. You're taking your chances. With Dr. Dauer, you are not taking chances. It is you are going to be guaranteed results. It's a slam dunk.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you.